It's the Restricted Area, your NBA show from The Athletic's YouTube page. I'm Zach Harper. That's Wosny Lambre. Make sure you smash that subscribe, you hit the like button, you leave a nice comment, you banter in the comments, and you share it to everyone you know, friends, enemies, even your strangers in your life. Make sure you pass that along, and you can get a subscription to The Athletic by going to theathletic.com/restricted area. Get it for $1 a week. You can't afford not to do it.
Let's get to it, Zach.
One of the most fascinating players to watch is Russell Westbrook. You know it, I know it, Sixers fans know it. No matter the occasion, whether he's playing lights out or stinking up the joint, he's always the center of attention. But recently, he's gone through a pretty precipitous fall from grace. It seems like just yesterday, he was having a historical season in which he averaged a 31 point, 10 rebound, 10 assist triple-double. Play the tape.
I'll be with you another year or two, collect my nice fat max check, then be right on my way. But I'll always love you.
Over the last 40 months, things have kind of fallen apart. I mean, do triple-doubles even mean anything anymore?
Dude, if I'm Luka Doncic right now, I'd be so pissed because Russell Westbrook has made the triple-double completely meaningless.
Despite the gaudy numbers, he never really materialized into a player that could take a team deep into the playoffs. It turns out that a team culture of stat padding through your number one guy doesn't exactly lead to postseason success. Who knew?
Who could forget Steven Adams boxing out everybody, including his own teammates, just to ensure that Russ could be the one that got the rebound? The memories, man.
And now here we are. The Rockets flamed out in the 2020 playoffs. They lost 4-1 to the Lakers. Russ and James Harden both won out of Houston before the season starts. And it seems that nobody's interested in Russ's gigantic contract.
Peep what John Hollinger wrote towards the end of that Lakers series, Zach. He said, quote, Houston surrendered 2 first-round picks to turn Chris Paul into a markedly inferior player in Russell Westbrook. After Paul nearly knocked the Rockets out of the playoffs in the first round, Westbrook is finishing off the job in round 2. But listen, he turned 32 in November and is owed a staggering $132 million over the next 3 seasons. $132 million over the next 3 seasons.
I read that Hollinger article, and I reckon if the Rockets want to trade him, they're going to have to take back somebody else's dead weight. And I'm not talking about a few small sacks of potatoes here either, if you catch my drift, Woz. Is he supposed to be doing that? So Woz, strap up your boots, get the horses out the stable. It's time you and me took a ride down to Russell Westbrook's triple-double ranch to find out just how we got here. Russell Westbrook III was born on the 12th of November, 1988 in Long Beach, California. He grew up in South Central Los Angeles and learned how to play basketball from his pops.
All right, we're in South Central LA. We don't need the accent, Zach.
Well, Woz, it just so happens they got horses in Compton. You ain't never heard of the Compton Cowboys?
Giddy up.
Anyway, Russell never showed much promise as a college basketball prospect until his senior year at the local high school. That's when he made his first dunk shot.
So you're saying he slam dunked it?
Ooh, fancy, Woz. Anywho, little old Russ grew like a potato after a rainstorm on a hot night in June, and in his final year of high school transformed himself into a major college basketball prospect. After 2 years in the big city of Los Angeles in 2008, he was drafted as the number 4 pick to the Seattle Supersonics.
All right, that's enough with the accents. Ain't no prairies in Seattle, fam.
What character, Woz? Okay, fine. Russ in his first season with the Sonics that then became the Thunder before he ever played, he goes 15-5-5 every single night, something only 9 rookies had done before him. And then in his sophomore season, he takes the Thunder to the playoffs, and they face the Lakers in the first round, the eventual champs, and they take him to 6 games in a way that really impresses Kobe Bryant.
And after that series, Kobe called Russ and KD a couple of bad motherfuckers. Crazy high praise coming from a legend.
Kobe's comments may have been key too, because in 2011, they go to the playoffs, they take down the reigning champion Los Angeles Lakers, and eventually go to the conference finals where they lose to the next champs, the Dallas Mavericks.
And Russ would make his first All-NBA team too.
2012, Russ takes his team all the way to the NBA finals, and he was balling in that series. First 4 games, he averages 29 points a game on 48% shooting.
Right, he dropped 43 in game 4. But what happened in game 5, Zach?
I mean, kind of the funny thing about that, he had 19 points, but it was 4-20 shooting. Fast forward to May 2013. Patrick Beverley starts in his first game ever. It's a playoff game, game 2 against the Thunder, and he sideswipes Russell Westbrook going for a steal during a timeout call and effectively takes the Thunder out of the playoffs.
Yes, the beginning of the Pat Bev, Russell Westbrook beef, a beef that's still simmering to this day, 7 years later.
In 2014, he comes off that injury, plays 46 games, but he's just interrupted time and time again. It's a tough season for him. And then once they get to the playoffs, they run into those super efficient San Antonio Spurs.
Up to this point, the Thunder had lost to 4 of the previous 5 NBA champs. They just kept running into juggernaut after juggernaut after juggernaut.
Yeah, and this is kind of the beginning of Russell Westbrook's preferred style of play. Like, he's dominating the ball all the time. He's getting to do whatever he wants. And that would be fine, except like the league was kind of moving towards valuing efficiency, and that's not really what Russ does.
Add that to the mounting injuries, his dependence on explosiveness, and there was just a lot to be concerned about there.
Well, hold on, Waz, because like in 2015, Russ starts to hit his prime. I mean, he led the league in scoring that year.
Oh, you mean the year Kevin Durant broke his foot? Only played 27 games and the team missed the playoffs altogether?
Those are just details, Waz. I'm not talking about that. In 2016, after getting a taste of being the #1 guy all by himself, Russ really starts to feel at home. He's an all-star, he's all-NBA, except there's a new sheriff in town, Wozni. It's the Golden State Warriors.
Just stop. And don't forget, they beat the brakes off of a 67-win Spurs team in the second round, a team that went into the playoffs as the co-favorite to win the NBA championship. But then, of course, we all know the rest of this story by now. The Thunder blew a 3-1 lead to the Warriors, an utter disaster. Russ is awful, shooting 36% on 76 shots in the last 3 games of the Western Conference Finals, all losses. The idea of Russ being an upper echelon superstar starts to diminish and fade at this time.
Yeah, but after that, KD splits for the Golden State Warriors, and Russ signs the "I'll always love you guys" $85 million extension.
The king of the prairie!
And in 2016-17, Russ just breaks out. He wins the MVP. He averages a triple-double. He had a record 42 triple-doubles that season, eclipsing Oscar Robertson's record on the second-to-last game with a 50-point, 16-rebound, 10-assist triple-double that concluded with a 36-foot buzzer beater. Who wouldn't love this guy, Waz? He's on top of the world.
Yeah, but not on top of the Western Conference. It was cute what they did with the triple-doubles, but they ended up finishing 6th in the West. Nobody took them seriously as a real contender. They got smoked in the first round. Victor Oladipo was awful, or some would say was not allowed to be any good. Come on, please.
Again, Waz, it's just details. Summer of 2017, it's big transition time. The Thunder trade for Paul George, and they trade for Carmelo Anthony, and then 4 days later, Russ signs a 5-year, $205 million extension. He's gonna stay there forever, Waz. And the next season, he averages another triple-double.
And this was the official end of the triple-double and any significance tied to it. Russ went into the last game of that season needing 16 rebounds to secure the triple-double average. Of course, he goes out there, scores 6 points, gets 19 assists, and grabs 20 rebounds.
20 rebounds? You know, his good friend and college teammate Kevin Love once said, "There's no such thing as a selfish rebound."
Oh, you mean this Kevin Love? They end up flaming out in round 1 and lose to the Utah Jazz. Russ is fighting with fans and starts a random beef with Ricky Rubio?
2019, Russ's final year in OKC, and you guessed it, Waz, he averaged another triple-double. That's 3 in a row. But the team was like 6th in the Western Conference.
Zach, I'll never forget Dame knocking them out the playoffs and then waving them goodbye.
Present day, Russ gets out of Dodge, and he finds his way to the Houston Rockets in a trade. But he starts out the season horribly. Then mid-season, James Harden gets banged up a little bit, and Russ goes on to have arguably the best stretch of basketball of his career, better than the triple-double seasons. Over 24 games, Russ puts up 31.5 points per game on 52% shooting.
And people could quibble and say that was a small sample size of 20 some odd games, but the guy fundamentally transformed how he played. He cut out the threes, he cut out the reckless long twos, he played efficiently, he played to win.
And then in the bubble, Russ is hobbled. He's got an injured quad on top of getting COVID. Rockets get smoked by the Lakers, and we're left wondering what's to happen with this aging, overpaid superstar. And don't get me wrong, Russ is not a bad player by any means, but the Knicks and the Hornets aren't sure if they want him. That's where we are right now, Waz. The Knicks and the Hornets.
You know, Zach, it reminds me of this one time I came out of McDonald's and I offered this homeless guy a fresh McRib. He looked me right in my eyes and said, "I'm good."
And there you have it, folks. The rise and rapid fall of one Russell Westbrook III. Where he ends up, nobody knows. New York City, Charlotte, Orlando. Gets traded to Washington. For all we know, he just wants his old style of play back. That's right. Now I do what I want again. Once a gunslinger, always a gunslinger.
Now, I don't know about you, but I take comfort in that. It's good knowing that he's out there. The Brody abides.
Yeah, the accent wall, giddy up! You can read more about the Rockets situation at The Athletic from John Hollinger and Kelly Iko, and you can get a subscription to The Athletic by going to theathletic.com/restricted area. Get a subscription for just $1 a week right there. For Wazzy Lambre, I'm Zach Harper.